So really, for my first question, Cecilia, one of the things I ask all of my interviewees is about that role that innovation plays within the company. So would you mind just expanding a little bit, please, in terms of what that sort of outlook is and that sort of holistic strategy that perhaps you have with Urban Edge Properties?
Sure. Look, innovation is front and center and highly encouraged at Urban Edge Properties. It is, in fact, part of our culture. Um, you know, if you take the meaning of innovation, right, it's nothing but simply the implementation of new ideas or a new way of thinking, right? Now, it just so happened that because we live in an era that is tech driven, that it is almost difficult to not think about innovation without technology.
Yeah, agreed.
So, it is my responsibility as the CIO to find ways to enable innovation in our organization. But to do this, we have to be very clear on who we are as a company. And, to that end, we as Urban Edge, we know that we're not a tech firm, but we are a technology forward company who's not afraid to implement new tools, so long as those tools provide solutions to problems and it helps drive NOI.
Which is net operating income, as I've found out just recently, because it seems to be a real focus for other innovators that is almost one of the sort of the core incentives or the core measures of success, which is what's the impact on net operating income. Would you say that's a fair assumption that it's your sort of your mantra, your goal to increase that? Is that fair?
100%. It's think of it as what moves the needle, right? It's the bottom line. And look, it doesn't always have to be about dollar signs, right? It could be about efficiency gains, right? But if you think about efficiency gains, ultimately it will have or should have an impact on the bottom line.
Yeah, and I find it quite interesting, and I've talked a lot about the misaligned incentives when it comes to building innovation strategies, and there always does seem to be this sort of quandary and almost battle between short-term incentives and long-term incentives. And I would argue that NOI is both a short and a long-term, and there is always a risk with innovation of failing very early on. And perhaps we'll come on to that a little bit later on. But yeah. I also like the fact that you're talking about the values and the culture at Urban Edge about being innovation first. And I think you used the term technology forward. Could you expand on that just a second? I thought I've never really heard that phrase used before.
What do you mean by that, shouldn't I?
Sorry?
I said I should coin that phrase.
Yeah, I know. Technology forward. What does it mean?
Well, look, it means, like I said, we're not a tech firm, right? That there are companies that are tech firm, and then they have a whole division where they then have a whole tech arm, and that becomes investments and so forth. For us, we're tech forward in that we embrace technology. We're not afraid of it. I mean, just last year, over the last 3 years, it's on an average, we do about 90 initiatives, technology initiatives a year. And look, they could be small or large, but I do keep count of all the work that we do. And, it's impressive, right? Imagine that, right? You have a company that has all the different people in the organization that have their day-to-day operations, and to have the appetite or the time to work on a technology initiative, that speaks volumes about the culture of our company, right? In that we embrace technology because we have gotten to a point where we understand the value that technology brings to the organization.
Yeah, I would think so. And it's like a positive feedback loop, isn't it? Which is, if you're technology forward or technology first, it then wraps itself around that culture with people thinking about innovation and technology all the time, which then feeds in that feedback loop coming around. So that does
and later on, I'll if we get to that, I'll expand on how we got to that, right? On how we got to that culture, because a lot of it had to do with people.
Oh, amen.